Today, on Guess What I Found Out, we're going to discover some facts about a fossil skull that scientists almost threw in the trash. And yes, it may have just complicated the entire human family tree. Curious George, imagine finding a million-year-old skull so crushed, fragmented, and mangled that experts looked at it and said, nah, probably nothing. Bold strategy. Turns out that pile of rocks had opinions. Here's the bold claim. One nearly destroyed skull from China may have quietly rewritten part of human evolution. And it did it after spending years ignored in storage like a forgotten USB drive. Back in 1990, archaeologists uncovered scattered bone fragments in limestone caves in Hubei province. The pieces were crushed by millions of years of geological pressure, so broken that traditional reconstruction was impossible. Most researchers assumed it was evolutionary roadkill. Spoiler alert, it was not. If this already sounds like a scientific redemption arc, like the video now, it helps more than you think, and it tells the algorithm you enjoy intellectual plot twists. Fast forward to modern technology. Instead of glue and hope, scientists used high-resolution CT scanning to digitize every fragment, correcting distortions caused by geological pressure. Think of it as Photoshop for fossils, except with math and fewer influencer filters. Using geometric morphometric software, researchers spent months virtually assembling the skull, treating it like a three-dimensional puzzle from evolutionary hell. And when the pieces finally came together, the result was awkward, in the best way. The reconstructed skull, known as Junxian 2, didn't look like what scientists expected for its age or location. It showed primitive traits alongside surprisingly advanced features. Facial flattening, an unusually broad rear cranium, and a brain case approaching modern human size. It didn't neatly match Homo erectus, and it definitely didn't follow the script. Imagine ordering a puzzle labelled Early Human and discovering it's actually a crossover episode. Curious George, quick check-in. If human evolution was taught to you as a straight line, this is where that line politely collapses. Here's where it gets spicy. Junxian 2 closely resembles Homo longi, also known as Dragon Man, a massive skull discovered in Harbin, China. Dragon Man had a brain size rivaling modern humans, yet lived far earlier than expected under traditional models. Phylogenetic analysis, comparing over 100 skulls worldwide, grouped Junxian 2 with Homo longi, separate from African Homo erectus and Neanderthals. Translation: this wasn't a side quest, it was a whole Asian evolutionary branch thriving for over 1 million years. Follow the page if you enjoy facts that make textbooks sweat. All right, Curious George, time for a totally serious scientific poll. Option A, human evolution is a neat story with Africa as the only main character. Option B, evolution is messy, global, and more like a group project with questionable communication. Pick a side in the comments, defend it with your best argument, and let's see who brings the strongest receipts. This skull lives in what scientists call the muddle in the middle, roughly 1 million to 300,000 years ago, a period once assumed to be a clean transition toward modern humans. Instead, we now know multiple large-brained hominin species coexisted across Africa, Asia, and Europe, including ancestors of Neanderthals, Denisovans, and modern humans. Rather than isolation, there was gene flow, interbreeding, and trait sharing, turning human evolution into less of a ladder and more of a tangled freeway interchange. Now, important clarification before the comments get spicy. This does not erase Africa's central role in human evolution. Genetic evidence still strongly supports African origins of modern humans. What Junxian 2 does is add nuance. It suggests advanced traits evolved in parallel across regions, especially in East Asia, and that modern humans inherited some of those traits through interbreeding. Think collaboration, not replacement. Curious George, if you appreciate science that lives in the grey area, hit like and follow for more. Of course, not everyone's convinced. Some researchers argue skull shape alone can't override genetic timelines, especially with fossils this old and damaged. That skepticism is valid and honestly healthy. But Junxian 2 forces the conversation. It tells us the human story is broader, older, and more interconnected than we once believed. Curious George, do you know any other fossils or discoveries that shook scientific consensus, or have thoughts on how messy evolution really is? Drop them in the comments. We are genuinely curious. Visit our page to explore our growing collection of fun fact videos that make you smarter, harder to impress, and slightly dangerous at trivia night. If you thought the human family tree was simple, wait until next time. We're not done rearranging the branches.